So, what I want to talk about today is the patch notes 2.4, which is season 10, season of the infernal chaos. So, there's a whole bunch of patch notes and it's extensive. I ain't going to cover them all in this particular video. So, they've also made some changes to the chaos rifts. It should be a little bit easier to do the chaos rifts than it was in the PTR. They made a few changes to the chaos armor, and it's now blue, if I remember right, blue. And Bartok has an increased chance to drop a chaos armor, especially on Torment 4. So as soon as you can get to Torment 4, better, I would say. Chaos armor can actually drop in the world as well, the open world. How often and from where, I really don't know, I'll be honest. I guess we'll find out. And they've actually added 6 new items to the pool that each can drop, which actually makes it a little more difficult to get the one that you want. In the Infernal Hordes themselves, they've cut down the number of times that the Chaos Waves actually happen because there were just too many of them. So they're now reducing to 1 and 2, depending on which Infernal Horde runs that you do, whether it's a 6, 8, or a 10. Most people are going to run 10, so they'll get two chaos waves. And they've made some adjustments to the ether, and they needed to, because the ether mass is now a 3 base, Fiend is 4, Soul Spires is 5, but they reduced the goblins down to a 20. Now these other 3, that was necessary to balance out the whole gameplay a little bit better. Now here they've got changes to the Fiends, Lords, and Hellborn. Colossal Fiends now multiply the ether from Fiends that transform into Lords. Ether Fiends transfers into Lords. Interesting. Colossal Fiends, Fiendish Legions are active. Cause Ether Fiends replace elites as Ether Lords. That's a lot of Lords that's going to be there. Hellfire from Lords. Summoned Hellborn is a legendary offering. Meteoric Hellborn. Summoned Hellborn is a 20% chance of spawning an additional Hellborn, down from 100. So the Hellborns has got a little bit of a nerf, I would say. Soul Spires, big change. Actually might be worthwhile doing now. Up to a 5 times multiplier. So there are a whole bunch of changes here. The Butcher has more health and deals more damage, but he was ridiculously easy. You could half-shot him if he was strong enough. Bartok is no longer invulnerable. He's now the same as every other boss. Burning Butcher was gained from 75 to 100, so that's good. Ether Goblins to spawn is 20%. Okay, so they made some changes to the chests, which is good. The greater chest costs 400 and awards Obdusite and gold in addition to gear. Unique items and legendary aspects that were found in Internal Hordes have been moved to the general pool, and the unique items have been added to lair bosses. So it would sound as though there's no more unique items in the Infernal Hordes. But you will get, when you defeat Bartok, you'll get the Chaos Armor. We got some changes to the Chaos perks. The Crazy Brew has had the cooldown increased and the duration increased. Bronze over Brain, it's a buff. Alternating Alterations, it's a buff. Chaos Unleashed, that's a big buff. Marred Guard, actually that's a nerf. Now this is the Locran's Talisman was something that a lot of people were looking at for the Chaos Armor, but now you'll see the bonus is capped at 500 resource. The adaptability aspect has been capped at 500, and the starlight aspect has been capped at 300. Now we see some temperings. The ultimate skill reduced from skill restores resource reduced from 35. That's a big nerf. And lucky hit is now a flat resource, which is a nerf. Now we come to the layer bosses. This is definitely a plus. So the invulnerability phase cannot be triggered until after 10 seconds has elapsed. So as long as you kill any layer boss within 10 seconds, there's going to be no invulnerability phase. So I think this is a great thing. That means people might actually want to try Andariel, because she was just the worst. So the greater layer boss pool is now split up amongst 3 bosses. Each greater bosses will have 2 of them. Loot pools for the greater bosses, Duria and Dahlia and Harbinger of Hate, have been broadened, now partially shares the pools between them. They're not exactly the same. The loot pools for lesser bosses has also been adjusted. Belial's Horde will no longer drop infernal compasses. So Grigor, you've got Mortacrux, Endurant Faith, Hesha Kesunig, Kesunji, Hesha Ikesunji, maybe. Lord Seer has Vox Omnium and Orphan Maker, and removed is a bane of Ajaden. Barshan has got the Shards, Ronicus, Saber of Saskal, Gospel of the Devotee, and have taken away the Midday Hunt. The Beast has got the Midday Hunt, Kilt of Blackwing, and Urivar, Hashai Kesunji, and Gospel of the Devotee. So there's Andariel's new pull. There's Duriel's, which is the Banished Lords. And there's the Harbinger of Hate. So now overall loot rewards for unique items has been increased across all difficulty levels, so you'll get more chance of uniques. Whispers will no longer drop magic and rares in Torment. Yay! Magic and rare items drop from side quest reward in Torment difficulty have been replaced with legendary items or better. Excellent. Reward quality in Helltide has been increased in Torment difficulties. All good stuff. Okay, Nightmare Dungeons slightly reduced the chance for gem fragments. Okay, reduced quantity of items dropped from the Heraldic Stronghold chests. Can now reward artificer stones in pre-torment difficulties. So you can potentially jump into the pit when you get Torment 1 instead of having to farm them all the time. Okay, that's a good positive change. And here we go. This is what we really want. The Sorcerer. There is a new ring, Galvanic Azurite. And I can see here they've changed the ranks from elemental synergies to convulsions. So Talrash's has been nerfed a little bit. Damage bonus. Isadora's overflowing cameo has had a change. Upon collecting crackling energy, there's a 15% chance to release a lightning nova, dealing X damage increased by 120 for every 100 intelligence you have. Now, crackling energy now gains 10% multiplicative for every level in shock skills you have equipped. Equipped right across that skill bar. And enemies hit have a 5% chance to refund a charge. Upon reaching maximum crackling energy, rapidly unleash charges on the closest enemy to you, dealing a 40 to 80% multiplicative increased damage. You cannot gain charges from when hits while rapidly discharging. That's an interesting change. So it also deals its discharge faster. Good. Chance to refund a charge is from 5 to 2. That's a little bit of a nerve. That's okay. Staff of Lamb has been increased. So the changes to Staff of Lamb Essen. Your cast charge balls have a 48% to be attracted and blah blah blah. Now, charged bolts attempt to seek enemies, last longer, and deals an increased damage of 60 to 80% for every second the bolt is alive. Okay, so we have some changes to tempering. So prismatic augments, ice blades and cast temper removes, and added chance of crackling energy to hit 3 additional. Also increases the number of strikes with Isidora's overflowing cameo when discharging. So that links up with the changes on the cameo. Oaken's catalyst, which has been increased quite significantly for ball lightning. That's good for the ball lightning builds. Strike of Stormhorn, and again quite a massive increase to ball lightning. Okay, legendary aspects. Charge Flash has had a change. When you have crackling energy, Charge Ball sends a charge, also wave 140 damage. Now you have a increased multiplicative damage and also fires a wave. That's an interesting change. Okay, so a few bug fixes. Okay, here. Fixed an issue where Serpentine Aspect was only consuming up to 500 mana rather than all the mana. It is intended to give a damage bonus up to 500, but still consume all the mana even if it's above 500. Using this aspect along with the Mana Shield Chaos perk should be very powerful, I agree. But great power comes with great risk. The previous 4-second time or a mana regen for Mana Shield was a bit punishing, so I've reduced it to 2 seconds to help this risk reward. They've also fixed an issue with Destructive Fireball when increasing damage the more it bounced, and an issue where Inferno didn't always apply Vulnerable. Okay? Okay, so it's been changes to a lot of skills. Lightning Spear, increase. Crackling, increase. Ball Lightning, decrease. Mage's Ball Lightning also works against all bosses. Blizzard, increase. Charge Bolts, decrease. Enhanced Charge Bolts, Nova damage increased. That's a significant increase. Fireball, increase. Destructive Fireball, Crit Strike, down. Crit Strike damage versus 3, a little bit down. Greater Fireball, execute life percent reduced from 25 to 20. So before it was like any of them, any monsters at 25% or below would potentially just executed. Now that's been reduced to only 20. It's better than a kick in the ass, but still a reduction. Frozen Orb, increase. Explosion, increase. Incinerate, increase. Passives, overflowing energy. Previous crackling energy hits an additional enemy. Each time crackling energy hits an enemy, your shock skill cooldowns are reduced by 0.1, increased to 0.3 against elites. Now you deal 85% increased lightning and crackling energy hits 1 additional time. Each time crackle energy hits an enemy, your shock skill cooldowns are reduced 0.1 to 0.3. Okay, so we have a change in the Paragon board, the Static Surge. Previous, hitting enemies at least 8 times a second with shock skills grant 30% of your max mana, increase your damage by 50% multiplicative for 8. Now, grant 30 mana regen, increase your damage by 50, so it's a bit of a nerf. But the because as the developer's note saying, grant 8% of maximum mana provided too powerful for the Mana Shield Chaos perk. Yeah, that gives you a hell of a lot of mana. The new version will still synergize well with Mana Shield's regen bonus, and the time spent avoiding damage to card and regen has decreased from 4 to 2. So yeah, okay. Let's see how these things work in the live server. And moving on, you got explosive combinations, change, mana shield, change that we just talked about before. Convocation of spirits, a little change. Your ultimate skills benefit from all other upgrades. Right, I think that's been pretty damn good, I would say. I think that the Sork is definitely going to be one of those stronger builds. I'm not sure if it's going to be the strongest build of all, but certainly it's going to be strong enough. I think that this is going. I'm still a little undecided whether I'm going to be playing a ball lightning or the crackling energy or the Hydra, but I'll probably change because I played the Hydra this season, season 9. So season 10, I'll probably change to the ball or the crackling. But for the beginning of the season, I'm going to miss the first week of the season because I'm away. So I'll be watching and seeing what some of the how the builds perform, and then I'll choose from there. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching this. If you did enjoy it, please a like and subscribe. That would be great to boost my channel. Thank you very much. Bye for now.